At the beginning of the episode, Xian was sweating intensely at the gym, while the only image repeating in his mind was Chan and Ning laughing together. So while doing bench presses, he wondered why it was bothering him so much, until he slowly realized that he had truly fallen in love with Chan. And after finishing his training, he took his son Xiaobao to a cafe, telling him to stay there while he attended a meeting, and by coincidence, Chan's mother was sitting not far away. And as soon as Xian stepped out, she approached Xiaobao, kindly asking his name. But the boy smiled and showed a card explaining that he could not speak, then opened his tablet and showed Chan's picture, which surprised Chan's mother, who asked if Chan was his mother, and the child nodded yes. So that evening when Chan returned home, her parents looked troubled, and her mother sighed deeply, saying that she had met the child Xiaobao that day, and that he said Chan was his mother, which left Chan awkwardly smiling, as she explained that the child cared for her a lot, but her mother replied seriously that she knew, yet she was afraid because marrying a man who was already raising a child was not a small decision, and she wanted to meet that man herself before deciding if he was worthy of her daughter. And that night when Xian returned home, Xiaobao innocently asked when Chan would come to their house, and Xian gently stroked his head and said that their plan would need to be delayed for 2 weeks, while the next day Chan's mother noticed Chan texting someone and immediately assumed she must be messaging Xian. So when Chan went to the bathroom, her mother picked up the phone and sent a message saying she was Chan's mother and wanted to meet him. But when she checked her phone, her face turned pale because her mother had actually contacted Xian through his real number. And just then the door opened and Xian walked in, greeting her parents politely and saying he had come to meet Chan, after which they sat down and asked serious questions, saying they needed to be sure their daughter would be safe. So Xian calmly explained that he had never been married, which shocked everyone, and then revealed that Xiaobao was not his son, but his nephew, whose mother had died, and whom he had raised as his own child, filling the room with silence until Chan's father's eyes became moist, and he quietly praised Xian for his big heart. And that night they all shared dinner together, which was precious for Xian because after many years he finally felt the warmth of sitting with a real family. And when the meal ended, he asked if he could stay the night since he had already sent his driver to take care of Xiaobao. And though Chan's parents hesitated, they eventually agreed, but when he added that he would sleep in Chan's room, everyone exchanged slightly awkward smiles, and later in the room as Chan adjusted the bed and prepared to leave, Xian gently held her hand and softly asked if she could sit with him for a while, saying her family and home felt so warm. And sometimes he hated himself for not being able to give Xiaobao that same warmth, but Chan looked into his eyes and quietly told him not to say that, because he was a very good father, perhaps the best, when suddenly Xian's phone rang and he jumped up, worried that Xiaobao might have caught a cold. So both of them rushed to the hospital where the boy lay on the bed, pale but stable. According to the doctor, although he needed to stay for a few days, and when Xian's assistant explained that the child was refusing to take medicine, Chan gently picked up the bottle, smiling and said they would see if he listened to his mother, before sitting beside him holding his small hands with genuine affection in her eyes. And at that moment, the boy's lips moved slightly and he softly said, "Mama," making time seem to freeze as both Xian and Chan stood stunned. And the next morning she woke with a heavy heart, still hearing the word "Mama" echoing in her ears, so she quietly tried to leave. But at the door, Xian stood waiting and asked seriously where she was going. And when she answered that she was going home, he reminded her that she had promised never to abandon the boy, and if she left now, he might never trust anyone again, while his voice trembled, saying that the boy had spoken after 5 years and might never speak again if she walked away, which struck Chan deeply, causing her to run out without replying. And later, when she met her friend Rana with red eyes, she confessed that she did not know what to do because the child had become attached to her. Yet she was afraid of taking responsibility, though she could not bear to break his heart, and that Xian seemed very lonely, while Rana teased that she was starting to feel sympathy for him. But Chan insisted it was not love, and even if he were the last man in the world, she would not love him yet. The next day at the hospital, when Xiaobao saw Chan, he ran into her arms shouting, "Mama," drawing everyone's attention, which embarrassed Chan as she told him not to say that there. But Xian smiled and said why not, because it was now true, and she had already become his mother, leaving Chan speechless as she looked into the child's trusting eyes filled with love and longing for a mother. And though she said nothing, her heart already knew she could never completely walk away from them. And later, when Xiaobao woke from his nap and could not find Chan, he became frightened, clutching his board tightly and running through the corridors searching, until another boy tried to snatch his board, causing him to fall, while that boy's mother rushed in and scolded Xiaobao, harshly asking if his mother had never taught him not to snatch things, which froze everyone around them, until Chan arrived with anger and protective love in her eyes, standing before the woman, and firmly declaring that if anyone had something to say, they should say it to her because she was his mother, which silenced the woman immediately, as Chan picked up the trembling boy and took him back to the room where he wrote on his board that he had been scared when she was not there, making Chan tear up as she kissed his forehead and promised she would never leave him alone again. And when he wrote asking if she would always stay with him, she held his hand and smiled, saying she would always be there whenever he needed her while elsewhere in the hospital. Rana, who worked in administration, overheard some doctors speaking badly about Chan, so she confronted them fiercely in front of everyone, leaving the staff stunned. But the next day she was fired, and when Chan learned about it, she felt devastated believing it happened because of her, though Rana reassured her that it might actually be the start of something better. And indeed, the next day, Rana received an interview call from a big company where she later learned that Xian had recommended her, which made her tell Chan that she was lucky because Xian was quietly making her life easier, whether she realized it or not. And the next morning, when Chan went to the hospital to thank him, chaos had erupted because Xiao Bao had gone missing. So both of them searched frantically until Chan suddenly realized he might have gone to her apartment. And when they rushed there, they found him sitting quietly outside the door, clutching his board, which made Xian angrily scold him for frightening them. But Chan quickly stepped in, saying he was already scared and needed comfort, not anger, before hugging the boy, and explaining that his father had only been worried, leaving Xian silently watching. And later inside the apartment, Chan decided to cook lunch, while Xian teased that he doubted she could cook well, but she smiled and challenged him, so both of them prepared the same dish, and when Xiao Bao tasted both, he happily declared that Mama's was the best, leaving Xian surprised because he had followed exact measurements, while Chan laughed, saying taste sometimes comes from love, not measurements, and she had avoided spices children dislike. And that night when they reached the car, Chan hesitantly said that if he did not mind, she would come to his house for Xiao Bao's sake, and Xian agreed because the boy needed her. And during the ride, she asked how he knew she had lost the wedding ring, and he replied that when she asked its price, he already understood before taking out 2 contracts stating that she must either pay 3 million or live in his house as Xiao Bao's mother and act as his wife until the boy fully recovered, which shocked her as she asked how long it would last, and he looked into her eyes saying until one of them died or found their true partner. And later, when she told Rana everything with tears, Rana held her hand and encouraged her to go, because it might be the path meant for her. While the next day, Rana was officially hired by that same company as the new secretary, and Bingo, who was the owner's son, watched her as if he had rediscovered a familiar light while at the hospital. Chan asked her boss for a 1-year leave so she could stay with Xiao Bao, and her voice carried not fear, but sincere warmth like that of a mother rather than a doctor. And when her exhausted self returned home that night, she opened the messy apartment door, only to find Ning there, surprised by the chaos. And when she told him she was moving to Xian's house for a year, he reacted with shock, asking why she had not told him earlier while she explained the contract and the 3 million condition, which angered him because he wanted to help. But she gently refused, saying the ring's cost was beyond him, and she did not want him in trouble, insisting she would manage herself, though her tired voice hid quiet strength. And that night, Chan and Rana shared one last drink together in their old apartment, when suddenly there was a knock at the door, and Xian's assistant arrived, smiling to inform them that Xian had purchased the apartment so Rana could continue living there, which moved her deeply. And when Chan called Xian asking why he had done it, he calmly replied that there was a 70% chance the ring was still in that apartment, and it had belonged to his grandmother, so he did not want a stranger to find it, leaving Chan speechless at the mixture of honesty and pain in his voice. And when she finally arrived at Xian's enormous, beautiful house, she felt like a stranger there, until he explained that he had placed 2 beds in their room, because if they slept separately, Xiao Bao might suspect they were lying, which made her lower her head silently, knowing she now had to act as his wife. Though slowly, the fake relationship was already beginning to feel real. And days later, when she tried to behave like a wife in front of Xiao Bao, her awkwardness was obvious, causing Xian to laugh. This is where the episode comes to an end, and to watch the next episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel and do not forget to press the bell icon.